Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the What Fills Your Cup podcast. I am your host, Riley Alexander. And if you're watching this on video, then you can see that we are not in my studio. I'm actually home right now at my parents' house. And I wanted to film an episode here, one, because I need to post an episode this week, but also because I am going to be filming here for a few weeks in May, and so this is the setup that you'll be seeing when I post those episodes. So welcome. This is my bedroom, and it does feel a little weird that I am sitting on a bed recording a podcast episode right now, having the cameras pointing to me. It just feels a little off, but that's okay because it's not what you think it is. Or I should say it's not how it looks, you know? If someone was to walk in, they'd probably be like, what the heck are you doing? But I promise it's just a podcast episode. Anyways, hello. I hope everyone is doing well. I am so happy to be home right now. I feel like I always just feel so calm and zen and relaxed when I'm back home at my parents'. I feel so grateful because I have such a great relationship with my mom and dad. Obviously, my sister, my auntie is here as well. So we have had just the best weekend of family time, laughs, and good chats. I just feel really refreshed and calm, to say the least. I think this episode is really fun because since I'm not at my studio, technically this is going to be kind of like a travel episode. Now, in a few weeks, you will see the vlog episode, and I've actually vlogged kind of the behind the scenes of a travel episode. You'll have to wait for that one on the What Fills Your Cup YouTube channel, but I will say I love travel episodes. They are probably my favorite ones to film, and I talked about this last week in the solo episode, but a big part of why I wanted to start this podcast is so that I can travel around the world and meet new people and overall just build connections, because that is one of my favorite things, hearing other people's stories and also getting to see beautiful different parts of the world, educate myself through experience, and traveling is something that fills my cup. So today's episode is actually going to be all about my travel experience and how I started getting really into traveling, as well as some of the stories and connections I've made on various trips. We're going to bring this back to my first solo trip I ever did, which was to Costa Rica. I say that out loud and you're probably like, you went to Costa Rica all by yourself. No, I technically didn't. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of that experience because that trip, honestly, is probably what sparked my interest in traveling, seeing the world, meeting people, and overall, that trip was one of the best trips of my life. So in 2021, it was when some of the COVID restrictions had been lifted. I got dumped, and it was, wow, what an opener. I got dumped and I wanted to go somewhere. I was like, you know what? I need to go on a trip and I need to get the heck out of here right now, because I also, during that time, had taken a semester off of school. School for me, as I've discussed on this channel before, is something that I really struggled with. And throughout my university, I actually lived at home because I went to a university that was kind of close to home. So I just stayed home, worked part-time, saved up money, and I would honestly often take semesters off, give myself a brain break, and then go back to school the following semester, yada, yada, yada. But at this point in time, I had taken a semester off because my mental health just was not in a good space. It wasn't in a good state. I really needed to take a break from school, and I also wanted to go traveling. So I told my parents, you know what, I want to work this semester and I want to go somewhere. I don't know where I want to go, but I want to go by myself. And at first they were like, hell no. COVID literally just kind of started ending, and we do not feel comfortable with you traveling across the world all by yourself. Fair enough, okay? They were just looking out for me. But if you know me, I am very strong-minded in the sense when I have something that I want to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to execute it, and no one can really tell me no. But I heard what my parents said, and so we tried to look for alternatives. I found this travel group, and the travel group was called Kentucky. So through Kentucky, you pay X amount of dollars, and they organize your flight, how to get to the hotel, and then you meet a group of strangers. And sorry, this sounds a little wackadoodle now that I'm saying it out loud, but you meet a group of strangers and then you travel in that destination with that group. So it's solo, but you're also not solo because you're with a travel guide and 20 to 25 other individuals that are also going on the travel group. But you don't know anyone. Obviously, you could do it with a friend, but I didn't want to. I wanted to go by myself to meet people. And so I picked Costa Rica, and there was, I think, 25 of us total on the group. And at the time, I was the youngest one in the group. So it was just like, I was freshly single, I was wanting to explore the world, and that to me just lined up perfectly with stepping into traveling solo and meeting people. Now, that trip, I am not going to get into too many details, but safe to say some of the memories I have on that trip are honestly kind of iconic. I met so many amazing people. And the best part about it is that it's people from all over the world. I met people from Toronto. I met people from Chicago. I met people from the UK. It was just one of the most fulfilling experiences of getting the opportunity to push myself out of my comfort zone and meet individuals from all around the world and get to spend 2 weeks with them in a foreign country. I just remember that trip really sparked my interest in traveling because I was given the opportunity to meet so many people from around the world. I had the most amazing tour guide. His name was Ollie, and Ollie was just the sweetest peach in the patch. And I am still in touch with a few of the people that I went on that trip with, or I met on that trip, I should say. But it was just one of those experiences that I felt really opened my eyes to traveling and also pushing myself really far out of my comfort zone. I remember landing and feeling like, what the heck have I done? I am in Costa Rica right now. I know no one, and I am now going to be on a tour with 25 strangers for the next 2 weeks, and I don't even really know how to cook for myself. That was my mindset going into it. But overall, I will say that trip is probably one of my most favorite trips I've ever been on. I got to experience some incredible life experiences. I got to propel myself down a waterfall. I got to go whitewater rafting. I got to go to a local's house and cook authentic Costa Rica meals. I got to just learn so much on top of seeing some of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. Like, I remember one of the days, I'll tell you guys one of the stories, but we took a ginormous bus, like a huge freaking bus up a mountain. And I'm telling you, all of us on that bus were praying for our lives because one little slip of the steering wheel and we were falling down a cliff. It was terrifying, but we ended up taking a bus to the top of this mountain. I remember we finally get to our destination after the most terrifying bus ride of my life. And the tour guide, Ollie, looks at all of us and he says, okay, so I'm letting you all know now that the altitude, if you are drinking, like, you will essentially get a little more drunk than you would lower on the ground because of the altitude. And I'm sitting there thinking, pish posh, like, no, I will be fine, whatever. Girl was not fine. I remember the sliding glass doors of the huts were like crystal clear, okay? You see where I'm going with this? And we were all like, everyone in the group was in one of the guys' rooms, and we were playing games, like drinking games, card games. Like, it was really fun. I think we were playing the game called Ride the Bus, and it was kind of because we just went on a most traumatic bus ride of all of our lives. But we're playing Ride the Bus. I ended up being the one that just got absolutely screwed, and I had to drink a lot, heavily, a lot, okay? And I'm thinking, I'm fine, whatever, this is good. And I was sitting outside, and I wanted to get up to go inside to talk to more people. I get up and I thought the door was open, but it was so clean that I walked right into the sliding glass door, like full on, smoked my face, rebounded off. I think I might have knocked myself out. Ollie, the tour guide, picks me up, puts me in a chair, and is just like, you are not leaving this chair. Like, you have to stay out here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did I just walk into a sliding glass door in front of all of these people? Like, that is really embarrassing. So that was a joke for the trip. Little memories like that I think, oh my gosh, that would only happen to me. And I was okay, obviously. I was perfectly fine. But really embarrassing, kind of hurt the ego. But I just remember being drunk on the top of a mountain and thinking, wow, I cannot believe I'm here right now. This is a core memory, and I'm going to have this memory for the rest of my life. Especially also because it was my first solo trip ever. Not with my parents, not with my sister. I was me, myself, and I, and that was just absolutely incredible. After that trip, I knew I wanted to go on another traveling adventure later on after I had completed a semester of my schooling, and I ended up going to Europe with one of my best friends at work from BC, and then a girl that I met on the Kentucky trip and her best friend. So the four of us ended up traveling all throughout Europe, and that was also an amazing trip. That was my first trip with not my family, but with friends, like a girls' trip. And we went to Italy, France, and Greece, and it was amazing. I loved Greece. Greece is probably one of my favorite places I've ever been, but also, if you know me, Mamma Mia is my favorite movie ever. So the fact that I got to experience real life Mamma Mia with a girl that I met on my first solo trip, and I got to meet her best friend, and then I got to bring my best friend from home. Like, it was just really cool experience and lots of good memories on that one. And those two trips, I would say, especially the Kentucky, but then traveling with someone that I met on the Kentucky trip to my own travels and starting that, it then started flourishing and my love for travel really began. I think I've brought this up before on this channel, but last year I actually went to Bali and Thailand for just under 3 months, and I went by myself. Went to Bali all by myself, and then I met my best friend in Thailand, and we got to go traveling for a month together in Thailand, and that was amazing. And Bali was completely solo. I went all alone. It was my graduation present to myself because I had just finished university, and that trip was everything I could have ever asked for and more. I pushed myself way, way, way out of my comfort zone, but I also got to meet people because since I was alone, I was forced to meet people, and that experience just taught me so much of the person I am, outgoing, that I can make relationships and friendships with people from all across the world. And it really opened my eyes to exploring my own identity and just being completely 100% authentically myself. Because at the end of the day, I was kind of like, you know what? I'll probably never see you again, so I may as well just be 100% me. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And with that, I made some amazing friendships. In London, actually, I was just there. If you watched the last vlog, you would know. But I met up with a couple of my friends I had made when I was in Bali and when I was in Thailand. And it was just so much fun to be reunited with them and see them in person, because when you're traveling, you kind of rely on the people that you meet in terms of, what are we going to do today? Oh, where are we going? What are we going to eat? Like, kind of holding each other accountable, but also just having fun along the way. So that trip, I will say, was also one that I really hold near and dear to my heart. Part of the reason I wanted to go traveling was because I wanted to start my podcast and I wanted to film an episode. So this week's episode is actually going to be my very first interview I ever did, which was in Bali with a gentleman named Luke. And I am just so excited for you guys to see that one. And I filmed that when I was in Bali. I had brought in some microphones from Amazon to Bali with me. I used my phone as my camera. I had a little tripod. Like, it was not at all what you see now, but that whole trip just holds such a special place in my heart because it was also the trip where I was asking strangers and pitching my podcast idea and getting feedback and hearing what they had to say. And I just feel like I left feeling so inspired, so grateful for all the memories and individuals I was able to meet. I really fell in love with who I am so much more, and my personality, and being 100% authentically me and making friendships by just being me. I feel like that also might come from having ADHD and masking a lot of my life. I feel like when I was there, I was able to just take the mask off and just, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. That was kind of the whole situation of that trip. And like I said, I made some amazing friendships and built so many amazing connections. And like I said, just fell in love with who I am. Traveling as a whole obviously is expensive, and it is something that I look at as a huge, huge privilege to do. I love seeing different parts of the world. I love experiencing different cultures and meeting locals from wherever I may be. That being said, I do want to say that traveling doesn't have to be expensive if you don't want it to be. For example, when I went with my girlfriends to Greece, Italy, and France, we budgeted. We were able to split the cost between 4 people. We did Airbnbs. We also did hostels. When I was in Bali and Thailand, I only did hostels, and those are really affordable if you don't know. Food-wise, I kind of was just like, screw it. I'm going to eat the cheapest thing I can afford. Ultimately, I just had to budget myself to the best I could. And given I did do some things that I'm like, okay, that was out of the budget, but it was a good experience and good memory, so whatever. It doesn't always have to be crazy expensive, and it also doesn't have to be somewhere really, really far away. Road trips are so much fun, and even going to a local mountain or going to a local campground, like, you can make traveling easy, affordable, and accessible. Obviously, with camping and stuff, you'd probably need to have someone that has a car, but if not, Evo is a thing. Just get an Uber to drop you off in the middle of the forest. I'm kidding, don't do that, do not do that. But what I'm trying to say is I am so grateful for all my traveling experiences because they've really allowed me to grow up, and they also put me in uncomfortable positions that I had to learn and navigate. But also, I have amazing memories traveling at places that aren't far away, or places that are near to home, or with friends that I've had for my whole life. And those experiences at the end of the day are the memories that I hold on to, and the memories that I will tell my kids and talk about with my friends and laugh about and look back on, like when I walked into a sliding glass door, and just giggle at myself and remind myself that this is all part of the human experience, is experiencing beautiful sights, friendship, love, and filling your cup with whatever makes you happy. Overall, and what this topic is and what I'm trying to share with you is that traveling provides an opportunity and a space to push yourself out of your comfort zone, to make new friends with people around the world, to experience different cultures and meet locals in wherever you are and hear people's stories. That's one of my favorite things, is just hearing people's stories and their upbringing and their life story and what makes them them. And through travel, I have been able and grateful to meet people from all around the world. I feel like one of the biggest lessons I learned when I was traveling was through discovering more about me and what I was capable of, and listening to my instincts and trusting my gut feelings. But it really opened my eyes to how kind people are and how welcoming and accepting a lot of people are. And if someone looks like they're alone or down, I would be the first to walk over and say, hey, how's it going? My name's Riley. Nice to meet you. Can I sit and can we hang out for a bit? And I feel like I brought that back home with me when I came home to Vancouver, because it just made me more outgoing of sometimes some people are lonely and you wouldn't even know it. And when I was solo traveling, a lot of the times people would say that they were lonely and needed to do something with their lives, so they chose to go traveling. And now they've made friendships around the world. They're the most bubbly, talkative, dancing around, honestly, not giving a fuck. And that was the best part about traveling, is I felt like I just didn't give a fuck. I was like, you know what? I am in the coolest place right now. I'm with people that I might not ever see again, and I'm also having the freaking time of my life. And if you are someone that is feeling a little stuck, or you're wanting to feel that spark again, or you're feeling a little bit confused with life or what you want to do, my first recommendation would always be to go traveling. It just sparks that energy and that passion for life and that curiosity that we all have individually. And I just think that traveling is a really great space that can provide that. And if you are fortunate enough to go somewhere across the world, or if you're fortunate enough to go somewhere that's an hour away from home, soak that up, cherish it, and just try to make it the best you possibly can in all the ups, all the downs that traveling brings, because believe me, there will be some. What I'm trying to get at in this message is that I feel so proud of myself looking back on that, and I know that I will for sure do another solo trip again at some point in my life. I'm not sure exactly when, but I do want to do that because it just brings so much joy to my life, and I love making more memories and hearing people's life stories, and also just experiencing what this beautiful planet has to offer. If you are feeling a little stuck, I hope that this episode maybe inspires you to go on a trip somewhere. Can be local, can be across the globe. I don't know. Whatever's in your budget. I also hope you remember that this life is short and this planet is big and beautiful, and you deserve to go experience it at whatever capacity is best suited for you. You deserve to go on that trip. You deserve to take a break from reality and to escape reality and just enjoy your time either alone or with your friends or with your partner, and to soak up what life has to offer. All of that being said, I'm going to sign off on that note. I hope you guys enjoyed this little solo travel edition, travel topic episode. I'm so excited for you guys to meet my very first guest ever on Sunday, and I can't wait for you guys to see that one. Live in Bali, but not live. It was actually filmed a year ago. That's also a fun fact. Maybe I'll do a little introduction of like, hey, by the way, this is what this episode is before we dive into the episode, but that will be a Sunday issue. Anyways, don't forget to follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, or YouTube. Wherever you get your podcast episodes, my episodes are available there. And before I sign off, if you haven't heard it today, I love you, and do not forget to tell someone you love them, because you never know who needs it a little extra. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Sunday for another episode. Bye.